today what I want to do is leave you with some good tips. There are many tips around small business planning, but I want to leave you with some things that you can just sort of jump into straight after the session as well. So I've got some screenshots as well to back up what I'm talking about. Off we go. Right, just trying to get this to move. Here we go. It's a little bit slow, folks. Right, benefits of business planning are, there's a multitude of benefits around that. One of those real benefits is that we have a tendency to work in the business, just busily doing the business and not standing back and working on the business to really lead it into new directions. And in the meantime, there's so much happening around us, we can really waste our time doing a whole lot of things again and again and again, but with some good business planning, working on the business, we can make things a whole lot better. So benefits working on and on the business rather than in the business is a great benefit of it. Being able to target customers better into the future and setting some really smart goals for the business into the future for growth and planning is just such an excellent thing to do. And it certainly helps with managing your time and a whole lot of efficiencies across the business. So let's just get into a couple of tips and then I'll have some screenshots around this. My first tip is whether you're starting a business or whether you've been in it for a while, you should turn the spotlight on you. So how you're spending your time at the moment, planning for the business or in the business, how much time you're actually working in the business rather than planning or working on the business to improve the business. And to help, there is the Pareto principle. It's a really famous principle that comes out of Pareto, who was an economist in Milan, and anything that comes out of Italy has got to be good. And he had this idea of an 80-20 rule, which we can apply to business planning. So 80% of your time, sure, work in the business, but 20% of your time, maybe early morning, maybe late at night, maybe one day a week, you're working on the business, really improving the business and planning the business. Second thing I would do, turning that spotlight on yourself, is ask yourself, are you the right person to do all the roles? Or could someone else do it more efficiently than you? And this goes back to thinking about what are you worth? And what is that role worth? So if you are spending a whole lot of time doing something that another person could do more efficiently, maybe you're selling yourself rather short. And what would be the leverage in the business? Would the business do better if you did in fact take on staff? It's one of those great fear moments of taking on staff. How am I going to keep paying them? But there is a leverage that takes place because you can work on the business and that person can get on in the business, making things happen very efficiently. Then I would definitely turn the spotlight out, and that means knowing what's happening in the industry, knowing what's happening as far as the trends for marketing goes with customers and competitors, and what we call pestle issues, which are all those political and economic and technological and social, all of those environmental issues that are happening out there, whether you like them or not. They can become really major areas for opportunities, but also for threats to your business. And then another business review tip is to turn the spotlight in. So thinking about what your financial benchmarks are in your business at the moment or for the industry generally, and also what do you need to maintain or to become compliant. So with that in mind, let's have a look at a couple of tips that I do have for you here. Free resources. Free is good, and there are plenty of fabulous free resources Queensland Government bring to you and are available from the federal government as well. Queensland State Library has enormous number of free business research, marketing research documents available for you, and it is free to be a member of the Queensland State Library. So you can trot along there and you can get, for instance, IBIS World reports, which are very expensive, but you can often find an industry report which does marketing, legislation, what's happening with customers, what are they using, financial benchmarks as well for your industry. So that's completely free, something you can do after this session. Another free resource is the Australian Bureau of Statistics, or the census data. I just quickly looked up Queensland. You can drill down into various parts of Queensland, regional Queensland, and find out an enormous amount of information about your potential customers. The ATO has a set of small business benchmarks. Now, they don't cover every single type of business, but you can often find a business that's very similar to yours. And the link that I've put in there is to the Australian Tax Office Small Business Benchmarks, just A to Z. What I have looked up for my example is electrical services. And the benchmarks give you an indication of how other small businesses have done. The ATO obviously is looking at everyone's tax returns. You can use it as a bit of a guide. It may not be exact in each business or your business, but it certainly can give you information about staffing, what others are doing, and your average total expenses, and it shows them as percentages. One that I looked up last week was very, very helpful for working out how much of a percentage of your income should be spent on a rental space. So looking at these as part of your planning gives you more of an understanding of where you can plan to sit your finances into the future. Business licensing and registrations, this is a good thing to do, I think, at least once a year, because things are changing all the time. You want forms, you want information, you want to know what's changed in the environment out there. So ABLIS has been around for a very long time. It's like a little wizard. You put in your postcode, you say what sort of business you have, you answer some questions, and it compiles a really comprehensive report that you can keep on record, have a little look through and say, do I need to worry about this now? Or is this something I could do later on? Or does it matter at all? Or am I compliant? Also, more recently, the Queensland government have put out this super tool, which is Business Launchpad, and it's on the Business Queensland website. These are completely free tools, very easy to use. And the Business Queensland one, you can sign in with MyGovID, and very, very easy to look at. Okay. Now, after you've done a business review, then you're going to be thinking about where to. Where am I going next? Business Queensland have updated the entire website for us, everything around starting a business, running a business, planning for business, marketing tools. Look, there's so much there. So I'm going to give a big plug right now that everybody should get into Business Queensland and start looking at the materials. The screenshot there is just purely one little section which is on business planning, and it's filled with tools and tips and tricks to really help you. Okay, so a few more tips now on to understanding your customers and testing the market. Trends are changing all the time. Being able to identify trends in people's buying habits and their interests, and also the channels that you're going to find them, is going to be very important into the future. People who were really into Facebook a couple of years ago might have moved on and they're using something else. And you need to know who's in YouTube, who's looking for things, who's searching for things in different ways. So there's a set of really good free tools that are available for you to use after this session, and I'll show you some screenshots shortly. Another tip is to diversify. So planning for your customer segments and the value you can supply to those different customer segments is a major tip. Very, very handy after COVID and difficulties that we've had, is to diversify by having some more things of interest to different sets of customers. And planning a journey that your customer can go on is a hot tip for marketing. This means breaking down all the things that you'll do to help people become aware of you, and also how they can become engaged with you. Maybe you'll do some YouTube videos about how to use your products or what services mean, how they reach the point of making a decision and buying from you, and how to make that as easy as possible, and how you can get them to refer you or repeat their business with you. So let's just move on to a couple of these. I know there's probably some good questions that are forming at the moment. Google Trends, it's part of the Think set of tools from Google, and they are free marketing tools. What I did today, this was quite interesting. Just before the session, I thought, well, I'm going to have a look in Queensland for who's been searching about bicycles, just bikes. There must be something happening in Chinchilla over the last day, because Chinchilla's really hitting Google at the moment to find out all about bicycles. And it gives you a day view or a week view or a monthly view. It also tells you who's searching on any Google product like YouTube, images, and Google Shopping, to find out information, drilling down and discovering what are people searching for, what are the trends. Free, excellent tools. This one I actually just found because it was nice and colourful, and it just demonstrates what a customer journey map could look like when you're planning. And that is, you're thinking about how people become aware of you. So you want to have a few different touch points, a few different things that are going to keep people moving on a journey along with you, finding out about you, and then maybe considering will be an engagement. They become more and more engaged with you rather than another business. And that might be a range of things that you will try and test in the market. Then they will get to a decision of whether they're going to purchase, how easy will it be, where will they make that purchase, and the sort of service you're going to provide to them could be another part of their journey. It just depends on the type of business you're in. And then you're going to get their loyalty, they're going to refer you, and they're going to come back, hopefully, if it's that kind of business. So you can get very design creative in your planning. It doesn't have to be just a boring text document you're creating. It's a set of tools that you're putting together. Cash flow and other financial projection tips is another thing I wanted to share with you. You can do projections based on some earlier data if you've got earlier data from your financials. You know, if you've been in business for over a year, you've got some financial data, you can look back on it and you can project based on that. But sometimes I think it's really useful when you're business planning, when you're working on your business, to just sit back a bit, just stand outside of it a bit and have a few what ifs. What if we do this? What if we do that? Now, if you've got a really good tool, maybe an Excel spreadsheet, a Google sheet you can work on, your projections can include a whole lot of what ifs, and you're not going to break it. You're not going to break your business, okay? So you can start projecting into a spreadsheet of what if we buy this new piece of equipment? How many times could we use it? Could we lease it out to others? What are all the possibilities of buying that? And could that mean we improve the income? How's that going to affect us if we have to take out a loan? Am I going to put in my own money? What if we add some new products and services because we've segmented the customers down even further, and you're thinking, well, you know what, next year maybe I'm going to try and get a government tender. That's going to be different from previous years. What if I add that? What difference could that make? What if we look at everything we have and start doing subscriptions or start bundling things together? I'm a big one on subscriptions and bundles. And what if we put it on a staff member? What if we go back to, is it really our job, or could it be a good leverage to bring on a staff member to do something, free us up to work on a new innovation? What if I put that in as well into my financial projections? What difference could that make? And what if we increase our prices? What will happen there? Even if it's only by $1, what difference will it make? I would recommend that you plan out month by month for the year ahead. You add your expenses in as best as you can, research them or taking earlier data. What's going to be the break even each month? Now, your break even is really looking at, do you have enough to cover all of your expenses? You're not going to make extra money. You're not swimming in cash, but you're certainly not losing it. And what capital might be needed to really just test this safely? So you're still standing back and you're thinking safety first. You're not stopping yourself from doing anything. You're just saying, can I have a plan A or a plan B to really help me along the way? Okay, plans always work far better when you take action. So it's wonderful to have a business plan. I've seen beautiful business plans that have never actually happened. Why? Because they're gathering dust on the shelf. The best plans are things that you can implement. So here's a little tip that I've used with my staff over many years, and I've had companies that have grown to medium size with over 50 staff as well. This has worked with many staff or one staff member or just me. It doesn't matter. And that's to break things into 90-day plans. 90-day plans, that's fantastic for a marketing campaign. It's fantastic to bring in a new innovation. It's fantastic to get a staff member working on a new area or improving compliance. And you break the 90 days down into really 30-day chunks. So 30 days at the beginning, no pressure, research, preparation, looking at the advisors that you can get to help you as you work through. 30 days testing and implementing to see what happens, make it happen, and then 30 days for reviewing and improving. And if you even just have a 90-day approach, just one thing at a time, by the end of 1 year, you can make 4 major changes across your business by using this methodology. Okay. So here's a big plug. As I said at the beginning, I'm a small business mentor, and I work right across Queensland with a whole lot of people from different industries who are small businesses, and it's part of TAFE Queensland's fantastic small business solutions programs. At the moment, as you can see on screen, it's a pretty good deal. And you get mentoring from a selection of fantastic business mentors, not just me, of course, who might work with you in your area, maybe face-to-face, maybe some workshops, maybe fully an individual program like a business coaching program. So look, Ken, really, I think I've covered some hot tips there today. I'm wondering if there's any questions.
Yeah, there was one here about do you have any resources or tips to scale back a business?
Yes, there's certainly, if you're going to scale back a business, and of course a lot of people did have to scale back a business during COVID, is you are still going into a business review and planning mode. I would definitely, as part of scaling back, is working with reputable advisors. So an accountant would be a very good person to deal with. If you are going to have HR issues, I can really suggest that you do some extra workshops or work with a mentor so that you can make sure you're fully compliant if you are letting staff go. Now, one of my largest, or two of my largest businesses in another state, were fully staffed up during the global financial crisis, and there was a real need to scale back in a massive hurry. I think one of the major tips that I would give to you today is that you need to keep your competitors very close to you and as your buddies. Not those that are not very pleasant, I'm not talking about that, but get out there and be part of the business networks and really keep them very close, because I had a good reputation. People liked us. We were an ethical business. We did right by everybody, including our suppliers and our staff. And I was able to ring around my competitors saying, hey, would you happen to have an interesting project for one of my staff, because I can't keep them while we're scaling back. And inevitably somebody would have some work for that person. And sometimes I would get that staff member back as I rescaled up again. So keep those competitors really close, get part of your networks, make sure that you're fully compliant if it's an HR issue. If you have difficulties paying things like super guarantee, I can guarantee you the ATO is your best friend. You may not think so, but you can ring them, alert them, and go into various plans that will really assist you. So don't be an ostrich and put your head in the sand. Get out there and use as many advisors and networks as you possibly can, and use the government as your buddy and as your friend, and get a good mentor. That's my answer, Ken. Ken, I think you're muted.
My apologies. That always happens. Yeah, thank you for that. That's a great response. I just want to open up just quickly, just before we sort of close it up. Is there any further questions that that anyone may have through the Q&A function or through the chat function? Okay, well, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Margaret, for that. That was a very insightful presentation. I love that idea about working on the business and also looking at those external factors as well, around, you know, how to sort of, you know, do that planning on a more holistic approach. So that was really, really great. So I would now like to close the event. However, QSBM doesn't end here. You can actually jump on our Business Queensland site at www.business.qld.gov.au and look at some of our events that are available throughout the month. And there's a whole lot happening in this month. So I hope you guys can get along to some more of those events as May sort of starts to roll on. And I thank you very much for your time today. I know time is very precious for small businesses. And I thank you, Margaret and John from TAFE Queensland as well, for all the information support they provided through this session as well. So thank you very much, everyone. And we shall see you soon, hopefully in some more sessions.